Class 8 GK. Hello students. Today in Unit Natural World we are going to study the third chapter, Going Nuts. Botanically speaking, a nut is a dry fruit and seed that are encased in a hard shell. Example: chestnut and hazelnut. Many seeds that are commonly referred to as nuts are not true nuts, but may just be the seed of the plant. Example: cashew nuts and walnuts. Nuts are nutritious and tasty. Now, there's some clue. You have to read the clues and write the names of the nuts in the blank. The first clue is actually a seed. It is commonly referred to as betel nut. It is astringent and aromatic and causes slight intoxication. It is chewed in many countries of Asia and in India is often eaten with leaves from the betel vine. It is Erica. The second clue is it is related to cherries, apricot and peaches and is a drupe, a variety of fruit. It is the seed of the fruit that is actually eaten. Rich in fiber, vitamin E, protein, minerals, folic acid and monounsaturated fatty acid. Today, California produces most of the world's supply. It is almond. The third clue is this is also a drupe. The tree is native to the Middle East and is mentioned in the Bible. Iran is the largest producer of this in the world. It is pistachio. The fourth clue is the plant is native to the mountain ranges of Central Asia. The largest forests with these trees are in Kyrgyzstan. The fruit has a brown corrugated nut which contains the edible part. The tree is known for its timber as well, which is hard, dense, and can be given a smooth finish. It is walnut. The fifth clue is the true fruit of this tree is a bean shaped and hangs at the end of the fleshy fruit. The fleshy fruit, called the cashew apple, develops from the stalk of the flower. It is native to Brazil and was brought to India by the Portuguese. It is cashew nut. The sixth clue is the kernel of the seed is edible and used raw or roasted or ground into a paste. It is a true nut. Most of the nuts produced are processed by the confectionery and bakery industries. Turkey is the largest producer of these nuts. It is hazelnut. The seventh clue is the edible part of this tree contains twice as much starch as potatoes. It is an important food crop in China, Japan, and southern Europe, where it is often ground into a meal for making bread. Because of this, it is nicknamed the bread tree. They are the only nuts that contain vitamin C. It is chestnut, also called monkey nut. This is actually a legume. The seed of the plants grows in the underground pods and tastes like a nut. The plant is unusual because it flowers above ground and develops its pod underground. It is peanut. The ninth clue is this is the fruit of a palm and is not a true nut. It is considered to be the fruit of the gods and is associated with many Hindu rituals. Its name in Spanish means goblin and was given by early traders because of the three marks on it that give it a strange appearance. The Philippines is the world leader in its production. It is coconut. Let us now study the fourth chapter, deer and antelopes. Deer and antelopes are often confused with each other. One of the ways in which they can be distinguished is by their antlers and horns. The horns of a deer are called antlers and are made up of bone. They are branched, grow very quickly, and are shed every year. Antelope horns are attached to bones on the head from where they grow, but are hollow along their length. They are covered with keratin and are permanent. So now you have to look at the pictures and identify the animals and also tell which of them are antelopes from the deer. The first is impala, found in African savanna in great numbers. It is the most common prey of carnivores here and uses its ability to jump great distances to protect itself. It is an antelope. Next is wildebeest, also called gnu. This African animal is known for its seasonal migration in huge numbers in search of food and water. Wildebeest eat softer parts of the grass plant and often graze together with zebra, who prefer the harder parts. It is antelope. The third is springbok. This African animal can live in arid and semi-arid plains. It is known for pronking, a type of excited leap into the air with all four legs kept stiff. It is an antelope. The fourth is eland. It is the largest of this type of animal. As it moves, it makes a clicking noise with its hoofs. It can live in a variety of habitats and eat a variety of plants. It is antelope. The fifth is reindeer. Live in Arctic and subarctic regions and have 2 layers of fur to keep warm. They move in big herds and their favorite food is lichen. They are called caribou in Northern America. It is an deer. The sixth one is moose, also called elk. This is the largest species in this family. Moose inhabit forests of the northern hemisphere and are solitary animals. They do not form herds. It is a deer. Bongo. These large strip animals live in the tropical forest of Africa. It is shy, easily frightened, and mostly nocturnal. It is antelope. Now there are some other examples. You have to name the deers and antelope that are found in India. The first is one of the fastest of all land animals. The males are a distinctive black and white and have long twisted horns. It is the state animal of Andhra Pradesh. So it is black buck. The second is also called four-horned antelope. It is the only animal in the world with 2 pairs of horns. It is chausinga. The third one is also called blue bull. It is the biggest Asian antelope. This animal enjoys some amount of immunity from poaching due to the suffix in its local name that means cow. It is nilgai. The fourth one is the common name for this shy animal is Indian gazelle. It can sustain itself on very little water, getting the moisture it needs from plants and dew. It is chinkara. The fifth one is also called swamp deer. This animal has striking antlers with 10 to 14 tines on each. It lives in forest and grasslands but prefers marshes such as river basins. It is Barasinga. Sixth one, a common deer in a forest and grassland. it has a spotted coat, likes to live near water, and will sometimes eat its shed antlers for extra nutrition. It is cheetal. So now let us study the fifth chapter, partnership in nature. Symbiosis is a long and close relationship between members of two different species that live in the same habitat. When both individuals benefit from the relationship, it is called mutualism. When one benefits but the other is not harmed or helped, the relationship is called communalism. When one benefits and other is harmed, it is called parasitism. Now here's are some interesting examples of this relationship. Let us see the first example. Mutualism. African crocodile and pileover. The crocodile keeps its mouth open while the pileover picks at the reptile's teeth. The bird gets a good meal as it removes the small harmful creatures that have attached themselves there. The crocodile gets clean teeth. The second example of is mutualism. Ants and aphids. Aphids are small insects that live on plants and suck their sap. They create the extra sap after converting it into a sweet liquid called honeydew. Ants feed on honeydew and in turn protect aphids from being attacked by the predators and parasites. The third example is mutualism, shrimp and goby fish. The shrimp digs a burrow in the sand in the ocean floor to live in and share its residence with the goby fish. The shrimp is nearly blind, but the goby fish serves as its eyes. It warns the shrimp of approaching danger by touching it with its tail. Both animals then hide in the burrow. The fourth example is communalism. Cattle egrets and cattle. As cattle graze in fields, their hooves cause insects to be disturbed. Egrets follow the grazing animals so that they can make a meal of this insect. The egrets benefits from the situation while the cattle are unaffected. The fifth example is communalism, epiphytes and trees. Epiphytes such as ferns and orchids are native rainforest plants. They are small plants and do not stand any chance of survival on the dark forest floor. Instead, they grow on branches of tall trees. As at this height, they have access to sunlight, water, and nutrition. The small plants are benefited and the trees are not damaged. The sixth example is of communalism, barnacles and whales. Barnacles are sea creatures that feed by filtering the water. They cannot move about on their own. So, they fix themselves to a whale, and as the mammal swims around, they keep getting a new supply of water. The seventh example is parasitism, malaria, protozoan, and humans. The malaria parasite, a protozoan, needs certain mosquito and human tissue to complete its life cycle. Transmitted from the mosquito to the human bloodstream as the insect feeds, the protozoan travels to the liver where it gets the right conditions to multiply. Of course, this is at the expense of human host who fall sick in the process. The eighth example is parasitism, dodder and plants. Dodder seedlings attach themselves to a plant soon after germinating. If the host plant has suitable food, the dodder produce root-like branches that penetrate the host plant for nutrition. The original root of the dodder shrivels up and all contact with the ground is lost. The parasite now lives entirely on the host plant, weakening and eventually killing it. Thank you.